It started when I was rowing down a beach at Whidbey Island. The tide was low and I saw how many people were on the public beach. Meanwhile, the private beach, less than a mile down the shore, had almost no people. The more I thought about it, the more I wondered if the people had any effect on the beach itself. Did foot traffic affect the biodiversity and well-being of the beaches on Whidbey Island? I decided to find out. The Pacific Northwest is known for its rainy weather, so naturally it's easy to take advantage of the nice days by going to the beach. We want to keep our beaches pristine, and while efforts by institutes like the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics Organization or the Tread Lightly organization have significantly aided the conservation and overall education of welfare among beaches and other outdoor areas, is it still possible that our visits to the outdoors are still leaving detrimental effects on the biodiversity and overall ecology? I decided to find out using a method called quadrant sampling, used most frequently to isolate and study a standard unit of area in order to understand the distribution over a larger area. I settled on 3 of the most popular beaches on Whidbey Island, all 3 or more miles apart. For 3 consecutive days, I studied each beach when the tide was at the same depth. This was important as it meant consistency, or controlled variables, among my different trials. On day 1 of my experiment, I found the most public area of beach 1, then got my ruler and measured 10 feet in from the water. I then set the hoop of an old spikeball net, which was exactly 3 feet in diameter, and placed it on my spot, categorizing what I found within the hoop into 4 distinct groups: shells, worms, weeds, and fish. I conducted this procedure a total of 6 times, 3 of them being 10 feet in from the water and 3 of them being 30 feet in from the water. I then measured 200 yards past the public beach in the direction of private land. I repeated the same previous procedure, the only difference being that my data was now collected on private beach as opposed to a public one. I carried out this process for 3 consecutive days on 3 different beaches, resulting in a collective 36 different sets of data. This is what I found. My results were consistent in that public beaches, when compared to private ones in close proximity, had far less biodiversity. Although I didn't count the people, I noticed a slight discrepancy. Public beaches had much greater foot traffic. Was this issue simply cause and effect, and did more beach visitors directly cause a reduction in biodiversity? The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service seems to think so. After having developed the well-known national education program, Leave No Trace, this easily understood framework of minimum impact practice is for anyone visiting the outdoors. It's based upon 7 core principles, 2 of the most prominent being leave what you find and dispose of waste properly. I myself am guilty of taking a cool seashell or rock that I found on the beach, but the fact is, if everyone does this, the beach soon might be left with no seashells at all. After analyzing all of my results, I had one more question. What if these public beaches were in fact designed to go in locations with less wildlife and plants? Did heavy foot traffic lead to barren sands, or did the spot on the beach with naturally less biodiversity simply prove a better location for a public beach to be built upon? For a more complete conclusion, more research is required. One potential experiment would be to find a newly opened public beach and survey the biodiversity in the same area over a long period of time. Perhaps, as the Fish and Wildlife Service suggests, we would see a gradual decline in the amount of plants and animals. Either way, I plan to continue enjoying the Pacific Northwest beaches whenever I get the chance. And I encourage you to do the same, and join me in doing what we can to preserve the wildlife that does exist on these public beaches, by picking up trash, being mindful of the ecology, and leaving with nothing more than we came with in order to preserve the biodiversity on the beaches.